If you didn't know the name Bong Joon-Ho before Parasite, the 2019 Best Picture winning film was sure to let you know. A black comedy thriller film which masterfully shifts gears into other genres and styles of storytelling, Parasite is a compelling and entertaining exploration of class separation and wealth inequality, with something interesting to get off its chest. As a fan of Parasite, I mean who the hell wasn't, I was invested in what greatness Bong Joon-Ho would channel into his blank check post-Oscar film. And when I heard it was a science fiction film starring the endlessly interesting Robert Pattinson, I was excited. Mickey17, a loose adaptation of Edward Ashton's Mickey 7, stars Robert Pattinson as Mickey Bong, who leaves Earth and signs up as an expendable on a space program, which essentially means he's sent on dangerous otherworldly missions only to be printed off whenever he dies. Rinse and repeat. Early on in the film, the 17th Mickey is believed to be dead, only to return to his quarter to find the freshly printed 18th Mickey alive. Because of a certain law surrounding printing, the existence of two clones at once means all clones must be killed. And the movie is about the conflict that arises as a result of this dilemma. Then again, is that what the movie is about? Or is this synopsis just what's written on the packaging? If the marketing team wanted to be truthful, they'll tell you that this movie is about everything while simultaneously being about nothing. If the marketing team wanted to be truthful, they'll tell you that Mickey17 feels like a filmmaker's attempt to cram an entire filmography's worth of ideas into one movie, without committing to a singular idea as the guiding principle. While Parasite shifted gears more than you can count on one hand, the movie was consistent in its commitment to a central idea, and only switched the executing principle and how it wanted to explore this idea to keep things fresh and unexpected. When Mickey17 goes on a different direction, it makes a conscious effort not to bring its luggage bag with it. The entire film feels like a first draft playing out on screen, but instead of deleting the scenes he regrets writing, Bong Joon-Ho simply writes around them. Perhaps this wouldn't be such a big issue if the movie did a solid job establishing its stakes. While the movie makes an attempt, I never once felt invested in the outcome of the characters, or whether the Mickeys would survive or die, or whether one of them would, or whatever. A lot of that has to do with the film's absurd tone. Whether it's Okja or Parasite, Bong has always worn his love for the whimsy on his sleeve. In Mickey17, he unabashedly lets his freak flag fly, and I blame a lot of that on Robert Pattinson's portrayal of the character. Sure, it's an amusing tidbit to find out he drew inspiration from Steve Buscemi's accent in Fargo, but the downside of that is it's a performance that would feel more at place in the Lego Batman movie or something. Then again, the movie's problems extend further beyond a quirky lead performance and has more to do with Bong's reluctance to invite you into the character's emotions for longer than a split second. In fact, I'm pretty sure Deadpool and Wolverine had longer dramatic stretches than this. This film adaptation, like Snowpiercer, shares little in common with its source material, but the core premise which it borrows from the Edward Ashton novel is inherently flawed. The comedic tone only makes matters worse, but I can only be so enthralled or fearful of the idea of a clone being killed when it is literally his job to do just that. The movie attempts to explain why this particular death will be different for the title character, but for my money, as in the money I spent to get this ticket, it doesn't do a half decent job. It doesn't help that Pattinson fails to flesh each Mickey out as a distinct being. Typically, dual roles are a compelling showcase of an actor's ability to occupy the same screen twice and appear as two distinct, separate individuals. But Pattinson fails to do that. Instead, Pattinson makes the two different versions feel like slightly different variations of each other. The biggest difference being one had his coffee in the morning and the other one didn't. Luckily, the camera work does a decent job tracking the Mickeys as two separate individuals, but the the fact they share more similarities than differences makes the stakes of which of the two will survive feel even lower. After all, they might as well be one and the same. From a craft standpoint alone, Bong remains a competent director. The camera work feels kinetic and lively, and the visuals are pretty delightful at times, if not exceptional. As a dark comedy, the movie's batting average is somewhere in the middle, but when a joke lands, it often lands with precision, with the best jokes credited to Mark Ruffalo, who plays an obvious parallel to Donald Trump, down to the vocal inflections and the goofy dance moves during political events. It's a performance about as subtle as a sledgehammer to the face, but in an increasingly over-the-top reality, I find it incredibly fitting. I mean, in an interview with Jimmy Fallon, Ruffalo said that this movie is pretty tame considering the current political situation in America, and I can't help but agree. Now, I'm a big Steven Yeun fan. Not only did I literally have a dream about him last night, he's just incredible in everything from Beef to Minari to Bong Joon-Ho's very own Okja. So while I can't say I didn't enjoy him in this movie, there just isn't very much of him to enjoy. Mickey17 had its release date shifted by Warner Bros. CEO David Zaslav a handful of times. The prevailing narrative now is that this movie was heavily meddled with by execs, which would explain its inconsistent story, Frankenstein structure, and also the fact that it's nowhere near as good as Bong Joon-Ho's other movies. This wouldn't be the first time Bong Joon-Ho went to war with a studio head over creative vision. You remember when he lied to Harvey Weinstein about his father being a fisherman to convince him not to cut the fish gutting scene in Snowpiercer? But Bong has made it pretty clear he had final cut privileges on this movie, which means he made all the guilty choices. The expository first act, the clunky story structure, and the absurd tone which undercuts any dramatic resonance before tacking on an ending which feels completely unearned. Maybe we'll find out some finer details which contradict this fact, but until then, we just might have to accept that this is Bong Joon-Ho's one bad day at the office. Let's just hope it's his last. I'm giving this one a 5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for weekly movie and occasionally TV reviews. And if you've had the chance to watch Mickey17, let us know what you thought about it in the comments below. I'm Cinemike, and I'll see you next time.